Hey friends, I wanted to come on here and introduce to you the newest member of our family. This is Maria Grace. She is right now 2 weeks to the day, and she's a little dream baby. She's really sweet. She's still in that phase where she sleeps all the time, so that's probably why she's a dream baby. But I know a lot of you guys are over on Instagram, and I've shared tons of photos of her over there on Instagram and kind of told you guys about, you know, what was happening like with the C-section and stuff, because I had a little bit of complications with that, or at least I thought I did. So I'm going to talk about that. Her name, Maria Grace, a lot of people asked how I got her name, and so I'll just start off with that. So pretty much I asked you guys, like, and you guys came up with the best names. I loved all of the names that you guys gave to me. Like, man, I should have some more girls. Like, girl names are so fun to pick out, I feel like. But pretty much, if you know me, I love Our Lady. I absolutely love Our Lady. So I wanted, towards the end, I was like, I really wanted her to be like named after our Mother Mary. And so pretty much, we were just towards the very end, we are just figuring out like which form of Mary did we want. And so Grace was just like, I love the name Grace, and so Maria Grace, I feel like that just kind of flowed really well together and stuff. So it's kind of funny because I kind of want to call her Maria Grace. Eric, my husband's been calling her Maria, and so I'm like, should we have hyphenated it? I don't know. So it's just kind of been really fun though to have a Maria in the family. I absolutely love the name. I've always loved the name Mary or Miriam, which that would have been like what St. Joseph would have called her and stuff, is Miriam, because that's Hebrew. So anyway, but I really do love Maria Grace and stuff. So yeah, so that's kind of the name. Once we saw her dark hair, we were both like, I think she's a Maria. So that's the funny thing on the way to the hospital. So I had a C-section at 37 weeks. And the reason I have my C-sections at 37 weeks are my uterus is usually pretty thin at that point. So after I had Jacob, my second, they said that I should have all my babies at 37 weeks because of my uterus being so thin. So that's what we've always, the last 3 have been like that, where they're at 37 weeks. And we haven't had any problems. Now you know, if you do it early like that, they can have like kind of, their lungs aren't fully formed yet sometimes. And that's what happened with Maria Grace. So she came out crying, you know, and stuff. And then they brought her over to weigh her and do all that stuff, the Apgar thing, and she was really purple. And so they were really, really nervous about her because of her lungs, like that she was at 37 weeks. And so so they ended up putting her on a CPAP, and that was so hard for me. It was painfully hard because I couldn't hold her. Because of the C-section, my body from like kind of my rib cage down was like, I couldn't feel anything till about 5 at night. And they gave me the medicine at, I want to say like 8:30. Because of that, I couldn't like walk to go see her or anything. It was by far the hardest part. I've always been able to hold my babies like almost right away, even though I had a C-section. Like, I've always been able to like hold the babies and all of that. So thankfully Eric like went with her. You know, he would kind of go back and forth between the two, but I was like, just stay with her, please. You know, like just the thought of like my baby not having somebody there, you know. So that was really hard. And she was only in the NICU for about like a full day and then a full night, and then actually a half of a day after that. So so halfway through the night nurse was so sweet, and she's like, do you want to go see your baby? And I said yes, because nobody would, you know what I mean, like they wouldn't let me. I did get to see her on the way from after like the recovery room to my actual room. Like, it was on the way, so they like wheeled me in to see her, like my big bed and stuff. But I was so cold. I was like, oh, I mean, I touched her fingers, but I was just, it was so painfully hard. That was by far the hardest part of everything. My whole experience was, I know, was not getting to like hold her right away. So they ended up giving her like a medication like for her lungs, because I guess that's pretty normal. And she did great after that. So then they wheeled her in our room, and I could see her and hold her anytime I wanted and stuff. So that was awesome. And then on top of that, I was having issues as well. My heart rate was super low. It was like 45. And it was so funny because all the doctors and the nurses that came in, they're like, oh, you must be, you must run marathons. And I was like, no, I never, I don't work out really when I'm pregnant. I should. But I was like, no. And my husband just laughed because he works out constantly, and he, you know, and he's like, yeah, no, she doesn't work out. And they're like, ooh, then we have a problem. And so they were really worried about my heart rate. They thought that it was because of the medication that the doctor gave me, you know, for the C-section. So what the doctor ended up saying was that because I just had a baby, like my heart didn't have to pump as fast as it had been, and it's just kind of regulating. And she's like, that's actually really normal. But they had like 2 different times where the doctors rushed in. Like there were like, I want to say like 12 nurses and doctors in there, like 2 times where I think they thought like I was, I don't know, gonna go or something. And like every time the doctor came in, they're like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I feel fine. And I did. Like I felt like normal and fine, and just very relaxed because, you know, I couldn't feel anything yet from the C-section and stuff. So, so there were a couple times where like I lost a lot of blood and stuff like that, where they were just really nervous. But then like the head doctor came in and he's like, that's not a lot of blood. That's not a lot of blood, you know. And so it was just interesting. They were all super nice though, and I would rather them be more cautious than not, you know. So that was good. For me though, the hardest part was just not being with Maria. Like that was so hard for me, like that part of it. But once she came into the room, it was amazing. It was so good. So another hard thing was because of COVID, I couldn't have any of my kids come to visit. That was so hard for me. Because they've always been there, like when the other kids, you know, when I had the other kids, and that was like one of the highlights for me, is like seeing all the kids see their new sibling and stuff, you know. And so that was like really hard for me as well. So they didn't get to meet Maria until I think it was day 4 or 5. Yeah, I think we were only in for 4 days. And so but then when they met her, it was so, I mean, to this day they all fight, like when because she's still in that like really sleepy mode. So anytime that she'd wake up, they're like, can I hold her, can I hold her? And I've heard this happening like with bigger families where like the mom's like, I never get to hold my baby because everybody wants to hold them. And this was the first time where I felt that way, where I'm like, I want to hold her. Like, you know, thankfully I nurse her, so that's a great excuse. And, you know, the middle of the night feedings are so sweet for me because I do get her all to myself. And that's been like really sweet for me. She's a good sleeper at night too. She eats very well. Good eater. She was 9 pounds 10 ounces when she was born, and you have to realize she was 3 weeks early, so she would have been a really big baby. I had gestational diabetes for the second and third trimester, so so they say like that's one of the things, is like your babies can be really big. Like, so thankfully I had a special diet, otherwise she would have been even bigger, which is like crazy to think about. But she's a really good eater right now, and thankfully latched on right away. My first child did not latch on right away, so that's always been like a concern for me, like when the kids, you know, it's just hard. Everything's so hard sometimes. There's a lot to think about, like when you have a baby, like, you know, the nursing, the C-section, the recovery, like all that stuff. And I did pray for you guys. I know, like on Instagram, a lot of you like wrote your prayer intentions down. And so the hardest part, like physically, is like with the incision, like when you get in and out of bed, it is excruciating painful. It's honestly like how you would think it would feel like if somebody stabbed you, like, and that happens for probably the first week, and it like slowly goes away, but it's like very, very painful. And so, and I knew that because I've had so many C-sections, but I want you to know I prayed for all of you. I prayed for our country as well. I prayed for some family members specifically, but you guys were like the main ones that I prayed for your prayer intentions. And so I just want to thank you so much for your prayers. Going into the C-section, I was super nervous, super nervous. And so about the time that I told people that I was going in for the C-section, my C-section was about 45 minutes later than I thought. But right around that time, I had this overwhelming peace throughout me, and all my anxiety and fear went away, and it was so wonderful. I've never had that before in a C-section where I was that nervous. Like I was going through a little bit of like panic attack, or I don't know if it's because I was older and like I was just nervous about, you know, how it would go and how recovery would go and stuff. But right around the time that I told people I was gonna go into the C-section, I felt an overwhelming peace, and just like everything's gonna be okay, and like God's got it under control. And I know 100% that was from you guys, your prayers. That is by far the best part of this ministry, is that you guys asked me to pray for you, and I can ask you to pray for me. And that is like the best reward of anything. Like, God is so good, and I'm so thankful to have each one of you in my life in that way. But she's like pretty much like this all the time. She's just like so cute, and you know, she has like maybe 10 minutes where she's awake and alert and stuff, and the kids just swarm her like when she's around. Bella is obsessed with her. All of the boys are too. But Bella just always wants to hold her, and she's kind of a little bit of a mother hen, to be honest. So it's pretty cute to see. You know, I was really worried that she'd be jealous of Maria Grace, but she's done pretty good. There are times where I can tell she's a little sad, like she's trying to figure out like, okay, things are different now, like, you know, because she's kind of used to being the baby and stuff. But for the most part, she's doing really good. The boys are just love her. Like, they literally fight over her all the time. So it's really sweet. We're just a big baby family. We all love baby. Eric loves babies. I love babies. All of our kids love babies. So it's pretty sweet. And yeah, so that's kind of, I'm trying to think if there's anything else that you guys would want to know. But thank you so much for your prayers. Like, it's so awesome having you guys in my life, and sharing my newest little one with you. See if I can put her like even closer. Look at that little face. Oh, she's so kissable. She, like, you know, she's in that phase where you can kiss her all you want because she can't do anything, and she doesn't seem to mind it at all. So anyway, so that is kind of the birth story and like what happened. And like I said, I know a lot of you are on Instagram praying and stuff, and it all, thank you. I could not have done it without all of your prayers. It would have been probably a nightmare. So thank you so much. And yeah, so you'll probably see her in a lot more videos and stuff. I'll probably be holding a baby while I'm chatting with you guys. But anyway, until next time, I will see you all later. God bless. Bye.